Step in my dojo, you
Step in my dojo, you
step in my.
All right, hello and welcome. I'm here today joined by our champion life remixers of 2021. Each one of these dojo members made fantastic progress that we are all humbled and proud of. At the same time, it's amazing. I love this community. I love seeing the transformations that people are able to achieve. And I love being one of the first people to hear all that awesome music that comes out. So big up to each and every one of you in the dojo. Thank you for being part of Remix Your Life, and big up to all of you out there who are making passionate decisions to further your own progress in music. So we've got a few questions here for our life remixers, and if you listen up, I bet there's a thing or two you can learn about how you can benefit in 2022 and achieve your Remix Your Life goals. So first of all, I want to ask you, how did you find the dojo and how did you remix your life in 2021?
So I remixed my life in 2021 by setting a ton of goals for myself. I had a bunch of daily habits from reading, meditation, journaling, daily studio habits, was trying to make a beat every day, weekly studio habits, turning those beats into longer, fuller productions. And I realized that, you don't have to try and climb a mountain in one day. That's not how you get things done. You just have to take that first step. It's easy to get in, do 5 or 10 minutes. And, a lot of the times that turns into longer than that. And if it doesn't, that's okay too. You accomplished your goal and you got in there and you're just taking the steps every day to climb the mountain. Just set a 10-minute a day Ableton session. Super easy just to get in. And if I only do 10 minutes, that's okay. Maybe you wouldn't have done that if your goal was, now I got to spend 2 hours in the studio. I don't know that I really feel like doing that. So don't be fearful. Don't be scared to just get in and try to do the things you can to the best of your ability. You don't need to start immediately and make some kind of perfect song that everyone is going to love. Just make something, anything, and grow a bigger picture of your music and yourself and discover what your identity is through the journey. Eventually, you're going to make something you're stoked on. So you got to wade through the garbage to get to the good stuff. Honestly, the best community I've ever been a part of, hands down, anywhere, anytime. Everyone is so welcoming. I remember the first day I came in and everyone was so awesome and welcoming. I just felt immediately like I was part of a group of friends. They're just there always to push you up and to help you through the troubled times. I think my favorite goal was to do all of the deadlined dojo opportunities because there was a lot of things that made me have to work and think outside of the box in ways that I would have not done previously. I'm going to keep my journaling going forward. I am going to try to keep my music daily studio sessions just to keep that habit going, even if it's not creation at this point.
So I did some daily habits, daily meditation, kept on the daily journaling, did daily finger drumming practice. And I wake up early and every morning it's journal, meditate, finger drumming, and then a couple hours of music. My day's so much worse when that's not how it started. So it's like gotten to the point that it's not hard to sit down and do that anymore. I rarely start a session feeling inspired and a lot of times I'm excited to write, but I rarely have an idea or hear a riff in my head or whatever. Like a lot of times you just got to sit down and start and get going. And then that's what inspires me to keep going. And that's when, I really start having fun with it. Take it one day at a time. You don't have to crush these big goals all in one day, like just taking it day by day and bite-sized pieces. And if that's only 10 minutes or 30 minutes a day, you're still moving forward, moving towards that goal. So I think having, just the meditation and having better lifestyle habits helped me stay on top of those music goals. The first 5-6 months of the year, I wrote about 40 tunes. And then the last 6 months, it was like 150 tunes. Being surrounded by like so many amazing like-minded individuals that are all really motivated to growing into the best versions of themselves and really trying to push themselves, like just being surrounded by that energy all the time, it's impossible not to stay motivated yourself when you see that going on all around you. you. It's been about 6 months now. I had this just like shift in thinking whenever I approach a writing session now. I'm not approaching it like, let's write a song today. My goal is just to get in the flow state and have fun with it. If I write something that sucks, but I got in the flow state with that and it just didn't turn out, like I still count that as a win. Went from working on an EP that turned into an album and then finishing that album and releasing it in 2021. Having that community and people supporting you and encouraging you has been insanely helpful. I don't know what I don't know, and just getting an outside perspective and outside ideas to help lead you to have that next breakthrough is so beneficial. Get track feedback as much as you can. I used to make the mistake the first year or two, and I would try to get a track as finished as I thought I could before submitting it for feedback. Big mistake. I soon realized it's like way better to get a good, decent, draft laid out than submit it for feedback, because that feedback you can get at that stage can like take the song in a totally different way. It can inspire new ideas that you hadn't thought of before. Most of the time use feedback in that way, get a good initial draft out and then get outside opinion on it.
So for Remix Your Life, I stopped drinking for 3 months and I did a timer beat a day challenge. Timer beats have really been transformational for me because it allows you to have a really nicely time boxed section, and it's the kind of thing you can do every day. And I ended up producing around 100 tracks between January and April, or 100 beats. I think that creating a lot of music has made it so that I'm not attached to all my music. If I make something that sucks, it's just the one that sucked and it was the one that I wrote. And there's always more that you can make. And then later in the year, I actually kind of continued the practice and kept doing daily timers. And around between October and December, I really started tracking them all again. And I produced another 100 tracks. And, the community was huge for me. Having people and friends who I worked with and learned with, and also having kind of a schedule. The weekly download every Wednesday, coming in, attending and watching the class is kind of a huge reset for me every week. And something that I like to do is I like to try to do just one thing. I just try to open up the DAW, maybe, make 20 kicks, maybe make 20 snares, or maybe do a sound design with a VST, maybe do modular sound design, mix it up, make sure that I'm having fun.
So I originally came to the dojo as a classically trained musician, playing in orchestras and different ensembles. Music has always been in my blood since I was a young child. I basically just dove in, remixed your life. I now have a daily practice of meditation, yoga, journaling. I try to read a book every 3 weeks. I've been using my Trello board. It's like kind of dorky, but it's this app that I have, and there's like 3 different lanes, and I'm always moving my cards around, and I'm prioritizing my tasks each day. That has kind of been a hack for me that has really helped keep things on task. I think the sensei sessions have been so awesome. It's real, like there's a real person, and they're dealing with your music and teaching you things, and that you get different perspectives from different senseis. So community is incredible. Just having deadlines, and tell other people about them, because then it's going to suck if you let them down.
I set myself a very modest goal of just a daily studio habit, which I was able to keep and make it through 4 months. The monthly coaching sessions, that's a massive value. And I've been doing 2 sessions a month since I joined, and they've just been huge. I had a session with Spiderhound where, he said, just do 10 minutes. And all you have to do is sit down, open Ableton, spend 10 minutes doing anything. Commit to being an artist. Call yourself an artist. Pick your name, and be that person. And then you have some accountability, some extrinsic accountability to say, here's who I am. And yes, I'm expected to do something under that.
The way I remixed my life this year was I quit cigarettes, I quit alcohol. You start the new year and you're looking towards the entire year and all these huge things that you have to accomplish. You lose sight of what's so far away because you're so focused right here and on your daily issues. And I think that if you just take a step back, you breathe, and you focus one day at a time, and you remind yourself daily what your goals are, that's going to ingrain in your brain what you need to do in order to accomplish those goals. And the dojo really helped me get through that. I met some amazing people. I built some beautiful relationships. I built some friendships that are going to last a lifetime. Hands down, why I stay here, because the people here are who I want to be with, and that's who I want to learn with, and that's amazing learning constantly from everybody. The Discord community is an amazing part of the dojo community because it's interaction with real-time peers that are going through the same things that you're going through, and it's real-time answers, and they're realistic answers. You get detailed scientific resources with links provided so you can actually do your own homework, and I really appreciate that. When I can't get into the studio, or I just sit here and I feel like I don't want to open Ableton, I honestly go back to my original inspiration, which is music. I go in and I listen to music. It doesn't matter what it is. It's something's going to come on. Something's going to inspire me. I'm going to be like, I like the way they did that. I like that riser. I like this melody. I wonder if I could recreate that. And that's the kind of inspiration that keeps me going. And that's what will get me into Ableton for 10 minutes, and that 10 minutes is going to turn into 8 hours, guaranteed. I leaned into the dojo. I kind of felt like I was sloughing off a little bit on my music I had released, but I hadn't released any more since then, and I felt like I was falling behind, so I kind of took the deadline and the structure that the ciphers offer, and I ran with it, because what do you have to lose? And I think that really helped me get through the later portions of the year. So why not try it? And that's really pushed me to a lot of limits that I feel I would have made otherwise.
The goal was to create an EP, 3 to 5 songs, get something released, but make the music. I wanted to become the producer that I've always fantasized about. I wanted to actually do this. Put the time in, believe in yourself, believe that you can do what you put your mind to, but it takes work and it takes you putting the time in. Just make yourself sit down and just do a little bit of work. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Allow yourself to get something out of it. Even if it's not a lot, at least you did something. I tend to end up losing myself. A complete day will go by, 10, 12 hours. It doesn't mean the work you put into it doesn't have to be a success. I believe that you can really pull something out of anything. As long as you put the time in, there's something there. Hey, maybe you just flowed really well that day and you learned a few Ableton shortcuts, which are, huge if you're working all the time, little things like that. It's like, well, what did you learn? Did you learn anything? Did you have fun? Whatever it is, pull something away from that and kind of build on that momentum. The support and the knowledge I've gained from this community is unlike any other. And everybody's just so excited to push the other and give you advice on whatever and things you're working on. And I just feel like that in itself transcends the music part of the dojo. Sit down almost every day you can and spend 10 minutes, just to create, connect. If you can log that in somehow each day, journaling is a great way, but if you can journal right into a session, like maybe open up a session and create one sound, a kick drum sound, and you're like, okay, that's it. That's what you're feeling, this kick drum sound today. Great. Come back tomorrow and build something with that one kick drum sound. Get into the habit of taking your emotions and putting them, or your thoughts, and putting them into music. Dojo is, it is life now. And I know that for a lot of us.
The way that I remixed my life in 2021, I started a daily 5-minute music making habit, which was super helpful in just building the confidence that I could keep growing. And I had a goal to create 1 track per week, which I hit the ground running and did every single week for the first 2 months. The weeks where I don't feel like creating a track, I always watch a weekly download video, and it gives me inspiration to get back into the studio. And I find that it doesn't take as much energy for me to watch a video as it is to create something. So getting that inspiration from something that's easy to do to give me energy to do something that's more difficult. Using timer beats and timers for things, trying to make a track in 1 hour has been super helpful for getting out of my own way and getting into flow. The monthly celebrations were so good for getting inspiration, seeing how much everyone was kicking ass and just doing all their goals was super awesome to see. And I got so much encouragement from those, and seeing how much love there was in the community. Just doing it for the first time is super scary, and everyone was so supportive. It just made me glow so much and just gave me so much excitement for the future. The senseis, they teach me so much, and it's like they know exactly what the next step is. And I wouldn't have known that that would be the next best thing for me to learn at that time.
being able to be part of the community and hear what people are doing and have the motivation of just seeing that we are all doing this together was so helpful. So the community is massive in that. Low amounts of time and consistency are key. You don't have to overdo it. You don't have to burn out, but just taking time to get into it every day actually has a lot bigger returns than you might think. Hop into something for 5-10 minutes. And that, if you can do that every day, really builds really quickly, even more so than doing big, long sessions, I think. I try to have a few different things that I find are important to me that are music related. And I find that sometimes, I don't necessarily want to compose. So I might move on to something like working on MIDI control and making a looping setup, or I might work on doing some music with friends or presets and shredding. But I just always try to have just sort of a list of stuff that's important to me and not necessarily urgent. Getting into a loving kindness meditation practice or some kind of just practice where we do talk good to ourselves. Some of the senseis have some amazing content on Dojo TV, like just absolutely mind-blowing. Some of the stuff that you can learn. Like, it's just boom. Like, every time I have my mind blown. But don't skimp on the one-on-ones though. They're very helpful.
I can't tell you how valuable it is to have this many producers from different genres. I kind of consider this like a genre bending community. Everybody might think it's a dubstep community because Dylan's ahead of it, but man, there is so much talent in so many different directions. Find a sensei you vibe with and at least do a few coaching sessions. I recommend buying extras when you're first starting, building a relationship with several different coaches, getting different perspectives, and building that friendships. I have several friends in the dojo now as a result of this that are very successful musicians that I can bounce ideas off of and bounce ideas off me. It's like, oh my God, still like years into this and I'm still learning something every day. So I have a very low, 15-minute quota per day in Ableton. Get your day and night sessions down right. If you only got 15 minutes, build a serum patch, build a patch in whatever synth you're using, do something simple, create small metrics for yourself to build that template. So it's mise en place. So you have all those pieces ready to go when you do have a 6 to 8 hour day. So it's just one of those things where, finding the community has been huge for me and it's helped me build discipline. Get into the weekly downloads. There's a hack in every single one. If you're struggling with something, ask your senseis what weekly downloads that you should recommend watching because they have a very good knowledge to direct you to them. We all deal with imposter syndrome. We're all coming from nobody. Like, if you don't identify as a musician, which Kristin did for a long time, the first part of becoming a musician is identifying as a musician and realizing that being a musician is not easy. And there's a lot of defeats. There's a lot of rejection. There is a tremendous amount of rejection in this industry. And once you foster a kindred group of individuals who are always going to tell you the honest truth, which is this community, it becomes a lot easier and those pain points don't hurt as much. So stay persistent. Know that there's always light at the other end of the tunnel. Keep creating and just friggin' never stop. That's the biggest thing I can say.
All right, so I want to thank all of you for spending your time here with us, all of you in the audience who are watching. I hope you're as inspired by all of these messages and stories as I am. And I especially want to thank all of our Life Remix champions. You're all totally crushing it, and hearing about all of the positive changes that you decided to make and then made, and seeing how powerful this community has become makes me so stoked. Like, I'm ready for 2022. I got like 3 months in the studio pretty much. There's only a couple gigs, so I'm like, I'm ready to get it now. So I want to say thank you so much to all of you for sharing your stories and your inspiring messages with us. So for those of you watching, I actually learned some stuff today too. I learned a lot of stuff today, but one of the things that I learned is, hearing which of the goals were making such a meaningful difference to people. I think I got to add a little list of like recommended goals, but I think we've heard them nearly all say that a daily habit of 5 minutes a day, rigging the game so you can win. When you're trying to create a habit, it's not about, painting the Mona Lisa every morning when you get up. It's like just getting in there no matter what you're feeling and just like pushing the ball and seeing if it starts to roll, because a lot of the time it's it's starting that's the biggest problem, and making a habit of starting every day. Even if you do 5 minutes and then you're like, that's enough for me, fine, you can make that call at the end of the 5 minutes. But I think that our champion remixers here are living proof that those small daily goals, like 5-minute daily goals, it's easier to keep them. It's easier to get some points on the board, and the whole thing just becomes a feedback loop, and the momentum just takes over. So if you're picking a goal, I would say, a small 5-minute goal would be great. And then I've also, I got a remark on how many of them listed journaling and or meditation.
Meditation, yoga, journaling
every single day,
meditation, journaling,
getting into a loving kindness meditation practice.
Meditation, because it helps me so much with just the stress of life. Journaling, because it's like a daily therapy session with myself. Daily journaling, it's been like 4 years of that now. And even if I quit music, which never going to happen, but even if I did, I would keep that.
Those two things, I think, really, those habits. I don't know what I would do without journaling. And I've had times where I haven't had access to a journal because of I don't know. I feel weird crossing the border with a journal. So a lot of the time I don't bring them when I cross the border, just because I would hate to have some border guy be like, oh, what's this? And reading all my innermost thoughts. So I just don't bring them. So sometimes I'm without a journal for a long time. And man, I feel it. I need to journal. And once you start getting the benefit of that daily habit, it pays back those 5 minutes again and again and again and again. So if you're picking habits, I think the early part of the year really you got the extra New Year's energy on your personal goals. I'm not saying you should only make goals around New Year's, and I'm not saying that the year starting at January 1st is the only way to measure your goals or to measure time. But with New Year's, you got that it's cold, you're inside, you have less influences, and I think personal lifestyle goals in the earlier part of the year, and then handing in deadlines, having some real heavy deadlines in the later part of the year that you have to hit, because in the early part of the year, you're kind of building your lifestyle, building your momentum, getting your head right and everything, and just making those lifestyle changes that you want to make. And then in the later part of the year, it's really, that's when you got to come with the deadlines. And I think, it is noteworthy how many of them also mentioned having deadlines on the board, having these deadlines that, maybe it's not I'm going to write the album that makes my career, but having deadlines on the board, things like ciphers, etc. And one of my personal pet favorite deadlines is write a track for someone for their birthday or for Valentine's Day or a holiday or whatever, because then it's you got an audience of one, and that puts a whole different spin on things. And I found that is just such a great way to make a deadline personally meaningful. So, if there's someone special out there that you care about, or maybe even an animal who you just have strong feelings for, write a song with a deadline that's an audience of one. That's I think one of my favorite goals. And I think another theme that emerged again and again and again that I really want to draw your attention to is having compassion to yourself. Really, really treating yourself like you would your best friend or someone else you love, and really, watching with the negative self-talk, and then also really just giving yourself space to feel sometimes. Sometimes you're in your feelings. Sometimes you're going to make tracks that aren't your best. They can't all be your best, and that happens to all of us. And I think really when you're setting goals, at least for me, I find that treating them as a pass-fail kind of thing. It's I'll do a pass-fail when it comes to creating a daily habit, because I find that more motivating. But I don't think time spent writing music can ever really be a fail. You might fail to have started, but once you've started, it's always a win of some kind. And I think keeping score and gamifying it is a great way to underscore the message to yourself that, hey, even if you don't do your best that day, it's a win at some level. And that level is that you kept it real, you stuck to your goals, you worked on your discipline, you focused on getting your head right, getting into the flow state, and in the process, you're learning about music, you're learning about yourself, and you're learning to remix your life. So hell yeah, big up to each and every one of you. It is never too late, even if it's not New Year's. I mean, the New Year's is a great time, but it's never too late to write it down and get it done. Create accountability, give people updates, put some of your identity into it, put your reputation on the line, tell people you care about that you are going to make these goals. And that positive pressure is just a great thing. It's a great thing all around. So once again, thank you all for watching. Big up to everybody in the Producer Dojo community. You keep making me, you just blow my mind what this community is capable of again and again and again. And it just gets better every year. So lots of love. Big up to each and every one of you in 2022. Thanks for watching. Peace.
Step in my
It hits all by itself.
I like to awkwardly hang around at the end of calls.
Should we just hang here all night, Gus?
Sure. Look at this. Look at my new ARP Odyssey. There it is.
Nice.
Timeless classic. I've got them all now. The entire Arturia in the actual hardware.
Look at you. I was eyeing your carpet there. That's pretty sick carpet.
IKEA. This is IKEA. But yeah. Anyways.
Nice.
See you.
Word. See ya.
Thanks.